Let's cut right to the chase. Creative people are pretty nuts, and I know this because I'm one of them. If you're like me, you wonder, how do people get over the issues we face? That's what this show is all about. Think of each episode as a warm bath for the soul. We're all in this together, so let's do something good with the time we have left. This show is my love letter to the human condition. This, my friends, is Sentimental Illness. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. So, hey, welcome me back. It's been a couple weeks. So what you guys don't know is, well, maybe you do because of the booth. I record audiobooks and commercials and the like for a living. And I've been in the middle of recording the largest book I've ever done. It's a 12-hour tome. It is absolutely awesome and absolutely torturous. And needless to say, tomorrow's the deadline. I finished last week, and then I found out this morning, actually like an hour ago at lunch, that I'm missing an entire chapter. And what that basically means is this day is going to be very long. Look, I'm paid well for it. It's fair, but boy, I'm frustrated. And I got like 2 hours of sleep last night for other reasons that shall remain distant, hopefully distant memory as well. Life is good, mostly positive. Still got a cold, man. It's been weeks. It's killing me. It's driving me nuts. And yeah, it is what it is. But hey, gaining consistency, right? Regarding being back, I am very excited about my guest today. This is one of those guys I just know I'm going to like. There's something about him. It's funny how that thing happens. The idea of a personality or a music, something preceding us, right? Like, you ever thought about like when you're sitting on your couch and I don't know, your significant other comes home and the door slams and you're like, uh-oh, right? We know these things, right? Or when it doesn't slam and maybe we recognize there's something good walking through that door. There's something about sort of the feeling in the air. You can call it a spirit, you can call it whatever it is, but the feeling in the air. And just having met Ben prior to rolling now and knowing that he's sitting in the waiting room as I prepare to bring him on, he's listening and he can't fight back. I can tell this is a great guy. I can tell this is a great guy. And the most amazing thing about this, I've discovered this time and time again. Excuse me, I got a fly by my light. The thing about this is every time I interview a band that is playing music, what I would call on the darker side, right? Whether it's death metal, melodic death, tech death, right? The quote unquote, the scary music, the stuff, the satanic panic stuff that your moms and your grandmas warned you about years ago. They're the best guys ever, man. They're the best guys. They're the best. I'm one of those guys, right? Come on, man. I'm the best. You know that. Anyways, look, Ben's here. I'm going to bring him on because I want to get to it. Not because I want to get to the recording part of the book, because I really don't want to do that. I really, really don't want to do that. But we're going to bring Ben on. I'm going to try not to act like a complete idiot. And here we go. All right. So vocalist and guitarist. Oh, man. For Nightwraith. This is Benjamin Pitts, my brother, my friend. Welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
What's up, Rob? Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really stoked to be here on Sentimental Illness.
Right on. Wow, man, name dropping and everything. You're my kind of guy. I like it, man. I'm really stoked to have you. What I was saying in that little intro, whatever you want to call it, is true. I've discovered that over the years of talking to people I've always wanted to chat with, right? Famous, I don't know, the darkest metal bands from Norway, for example. Those guys are the greatest guys. They just are fantastic humans. And something about the music belies the personality, or something about the personality belies the music. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's a great catharsis, you know?
Yeah, I think everyone probably knows a heavy metal music artist in their life. That's probably a very nice person. I like to attribute it to having like a healthy outlet for,
Yeah.
so some of these like darker feelings that we all have and we all experience,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, the interesting thing too is, as I say in every show, having grown up in the church in America, where the church seems to be more focused lately than ever on politics and money.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a beratement of the entire church as a structure, or certainly probably the vast majority of the people within it. But the thing that I've constantly discovered is it's where we all know the most hypocrisy lies.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been deeply challenging to my soul, because having grown up in the church and having a modicum of faith and wanting to live my life as a good, kind soul, I don't always do so, but I also don't pretend that I am anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I started feeling those exact same feelings pretty early on in my life. I grew up Catholic. Because my family was
right.
Yeah, I remember being like third or fourth grade and just like kind of questioning things, because it's hard not to, right? Like the hypocrisy is just like right there in your face. It's like they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Right.
And I asked questions, and they basically just told me like, don't ask those questions. Just like believe this stuff blindly.
Right.
And I pretty much went home and was like, I don't think I believe any of this. And my parents were like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I want to be really cautious here, because as much as I might 100% agree with you, I also don't want to offend my friends, family, listeners, and whomever profess certain aspects of the faith that I don't necessarily agree with. But I would say that I think the smartest thing, if I could be so bold, would to say that, look, man, whether Christ is real, I'm going to completely out myself. I totally believe. I do. I totally believe. But what I dislike is the methodology of the church in general. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I absolutely, man, you asked me if I'm a Christian, 100%. I know this is a weird way to start a conversation with a death metal guy, but I 100%, man, I would never brag about it, but because I don't like that aspect of what people within so many different faiths, behave like. I don't want to be the guy that says, well, I've got the secret sauce or I've got the route. It's
of course.
It's not to say that I may or may not. What it is to say is that if I'm truly honoring what I believe is a Christian, like a real Christian legacy, it's saying that, okay, so if Christ came to love and to save and to apply grace, then why am I doing anything else? It's just not my place.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that exists no matter what group you're in,
correct.
Whether it's faith or politics or anything. There's going to be people that are outliers that are like in your face about it, kind of like putting forth a bad representation of it in general, right? That happens in the death metal community, all the time.
Yep.
But to your point, to me, it's not like about, I don't know, accepting the existence of like a being or a deity or anything like that.
Right.
I think everyone can find some type of spirituality to a degree, whatever you want to call that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I view it, So I definitely relate to you and to other Christians, because I think we share that sense of spirituality. I think for me, it's music,
Right
I find it through like the catharsis of music, but it can be anything, taking like a beautiful hike in the mountains, for example,
Right. Absolutely. Well, don't worry, Ben. I'll pray for you. All right. Let's get to the good stuff.
And now it's time for self-diagnosis.
All right, Ben. We're going to get to the band here in a second, but I want to talk to you about you. And it's one of the best parts of the show because I get to meet somebody and I get a little mini deep dive right off the bat, you know what I mean? Kind of force the play a bit.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, you know, when you sent me your pre-production stuff here, you know, we've been talking for the last couple of weeks, you know, I've got some stories and things we can chat over, but one of the things I don't know about you is maybe the most basic thing, which is, you know, kind of how you were formed. And you mentioned, you know, having French Canadian roots. You know, the band is based out of the Denver area. Mm-hmm. But what I'm curious, I guess, about is how did you come into this world that you're in? Meaning, how did you choose this particular type of music to express yourself? How did you become this guy in this world, in this business, in this sound?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can probably trace it back to my early years, maybe, you know, 13, 14 years old. Those are like very formative years for anyone.
For sure.
Very influential years. Starting to hear bands, like alternative bands for the first time, like Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day, and like Nirvana had exploded at the time. So obviously that was like the coolest thing out there. Right. So I kind of gravitated towards that. I was like, I love that. I want to do this. I want to like figure out how to like play guitar or play rock music of some kind. Start taking guitar lessons, kind of like start learning my way around the guitar.
Yeah.
And then I formed my first band with a couple of friends when I was like 14, I think. We're doing like Rage Against the Machine covers. Right?
Of course.
Once we like started getting our chops down, and you know we played a couple shows early on, and I was very, very attracted to like the punk rock scene here in Denver. And that was because, you know, I was like just starting high school, and I was kind of surrounded by like intolerance, right? Especially in like the late 90s, like it was a very like intolerant place for everyone. And all of a sudden I'm hanging out with all these like older, you know, what I thought were like the cool kids, but they were like accepting and they were like kind. You know what I mean? They didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of like material things, but what they had was like kindness and a desire to like do better and make the world around them a better place. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like these are like actual real people doing like actual cool things. And it was kind of, it was over after that. I was all in on like the punk and hardcore scene. I think the first show we ever played was like a benefit for the local anti-racist action chapter here in Denver.
Nice.
And we just kind of grew from there. You know, as I developed my musical chops a little more, I started gravitating towards metal because that's what was more fun to play. Started playing with like some really sick drummers, you know, and just playing metal because it was like faster, it was crazier, like more melodic.
Lots of notes.
More notes. But I always held on to that like punk rock ethos, and I still do. And I think I made a concerted effort to make it very prominent on this record we have now. It's a melodic heavy metal record, but like lyrically and just like the attitude behind it is like totally punk 100%.
That's awesome.
So I guess that's my answer.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what we were saying at the top of the hour, which is you're a great guy. I mean, that much is really obvious. And I'm not blowing smoke. That much is really obvious.
Hey, you have great intuition.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'd like to think so. But I think, when you're surrounded by people who inspire you and you're not even really sure where this comes from outside of the fact it's just the generosity of the heart, excuse me. It is about a group of people who love what they're doing. They're inspired by it and they want to share it with somebody like you who's seeking a music, seeking an outlet, seeking a peer group to enjoy. And I love this idea of bringing the punk mindset into that technical melodic death space because, well, it's kind of missing, right? And I think that's what probably sets Nightwraith apart is there's a different take on a lot of the same themes. And if you're really listening close, I mean, I'm kind of famous for not being very good at listening to lyrics, but if you're listening close, you're like, oh, wow, the theme of this is way different than I actually took from maybe a title, right?
Yeah, it's not all just like, ooh, I'm sad and death and destruction and hate, you know?
Right. Anarchy.
Yeah, it's important for me to have like meaningful, like inspiring lyrics that offer like, maybe they showcase like some of the darker sides of humanity, but they also like offer some hope on like how things can be better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I live near Seattle, and one of the things we're sort of famous for up here is anarchists. This, especially, I'm not going to throw shade at the whole BLM thing or anything else. But what was the anarchy thing? All of a sudden, I can't think of it, where everybody was like against the anarchists. For God's sake, it's all over the news, and politicians use it. Oh my God, I cannot believe I am just drawing a blank.
I feel the world has been against anarchists for a very long time.
Well, and rightly so, because, anarchy, I mean, if there are no rules, right, then people suffer. But I guess what I'm trying to say is what I love about what your band seems to be doing is it's more embracing the childlike punk anarchy versus the nihilistic destroy everything, Starbucks must die anarchy that comes from right, that comes from the bleaker side of metal acts.
Yeah, there was a term we always grew up with that was like personal anarchy, and it more comes down to just like making choices within your personal life that align with like non-conformist principles. Right. Basically, it's not like you have to be against everything. You can't participate in society whatsoever because that's just not practical. But like the way I grew up in the punk scene was like you can make little personal decisions every day that kind of like help the greater good, and a lot of that comes down to me with like voting with your dollar, right?
Yeah,
that's something we can all do to like choose what we want to support, choose what we don't want to support. And then one other thing, speaking of anarchists, growing up in the punk scene, I would hang out with all the Food Not Bombs kids. I don't know if you remember that movement.
I
but
don't.
It was awesome. We would like dumpster dive all day, and grocery stores would like drop off like food that they could no longer sell. It wasn't spoiled, but they couldn't sell it. And then we would spend all day cooking it and prepping it in the kitchen, and then we would go to the park and hang out with the homeless people and like serve homeless people these meals.
So cool.
And we would do that. It was called Food Not Bombs. I know there was a chapter in like Seattle, Portland. It was everywhere. I think it still operates. I haven't heard of it for a little while.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the anarchy, quote unquote, that I grew up with,
Yeah.
It's more about just creating community and helping other people out.
Yeah.
Lifting other people up.
So it's called Food That Bonds?
Food Not Bombs.
Oh, Food Not Bonds. Okay.
Not bombs. Like
I got you.
Like a bomb.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's making sense. I was like, wow, this is a really political thing.
Sorry, yes. You mentioned anarchy to a punk rocker. We're going to go down this rabbit hole.
Well, again, it's the Seattle area. I know we're sort of famous for it. We had a big, huge, sort of an anarchist explosion / implosion back in the late 90s over trade agreements with Mexico. So, we like our chaos here a lot. Speaking of Seattle, we're famous here for the obvious things, grunge, right? Maybe early rock and roll like Louie Louie. Duff McKagan is from the area, there's some great musicians. You
said the Melvins earlier, like Sub Pop Records.
Exactly. Exactly. So much great interesting alternative music, right? Not just alternative for the sake of alternative, right? And Anna Nancy are from here, Heart. So we've always seen a kind of a wildly divergent music scene here. We're not just grunge. We actually have a large rap population, so hip hop and a significant techno slash what's the word? Just electronic music, you know, skinny puppy, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
At least from this area, right? Frontline Assembly, whatnot. Denver seems to be kind of a new hotbed, like a new Chicago, at least. My take, right? What I'm experiencing on the PR side. What's your take of Denver, and why do you think you're a good fit for the city?
Yeah, last 10 years, it's heavy music in general has really exploded. And I'm kind of talking about heavy music here.
Yeah.
But back in the day when, you know, we were all in like heavy bands trying to kind of build up the scene, you know, helping book bands that were coming through. And like back then, Cephalic Carnage was kind of like the only big name that was from here, right?
Right.
But you know, fast forward like 10, 15 years, and you know, we're the home to Chemist and Blood Incantation and Havoc and Wayfarer and Primitive Man. Like it's kind of exploded, and it's really cool because these are all people that I know, all people that I've like grown up in the scene with and played shows with. And it's so awesome having talented friends that do cool things.
Yeah. No, it's great. It actually kind of reminds me of the Houston or the New Orleans scenes, you know, where you kind of got the, I don't want to call it suffocation because I can't remember where they came from. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. But again, I'm drawing blanks. I think it's because I'm so stressed out about missing that stupid. I'm sorry.
Book reading.
Everybody's watching this going, Rob's just trying to get out of here. I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not trying to get out of here. I genuinely want to hang out with you, but I admit to drawing a lot of blanks. Anyway, there's a pretty significant death scene in Texas. You know, the music scene. And I'm just finding that's it seems like it's moved a bit north and a bit west. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
it's spreading for sure.
for sure. Well, okay. So one of my, I don't want to call it a standardized question because it's not, but you know, earlier I was talking about this idea of emotion or a feeling preceding you, right? When you know somebody's there's something that you discern about them that you like. When it comes to somebody like yourself, who's, you know, at the forefront of this sort of push in this melodic death scene, right? You're one of those bands. You're the front of one of those bands, a creator, etc. What do you think your band is trying to say? Like, what did you come here to do with this?
That's a good question. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, we've been in a lot of bands in our past, and we got a lot of stuff out of our system. Like, you know, we were in bands that were super heavy and super fast and super technical and like as heavy as we could possibly make it. When we started this band, you know, at that point, we were like a little older. Like our touring days were a little bit behind us, you know. We'd kind of like done all that stuff already. So the concept was to kind of just have a band that like really focused on musicality and good songwriting and just like solid musicianship. Instead of just trying to be like the fastest or the heaviest or the most technical. So in that regard, our songs are kind of on the simple side. I mean, like they're pretty like standard, like pop format, like verse, chorus, bridge, solo kind of format. But we like it because it's a formula that works. And we've like, I don't know, we've just injected like all years and years of experience of musicianship, like behind these songs. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it totally does, as I'm chasing a fly around. I swear to God, I'm listening. Everybody watching this is like, what's Rob doing? I'm like trying to kill this like gnat or something. No, look, Ben, it totally does. I think I actually want to go back though to this idea of content, of lyrical content, because as I say every time, I'm not necessarily paying attention to that. But what I caught when I listened to your material, and thank you, Asher Media. I love John so much.
Thank you, Asher Media.
Oh, John is such a fantastic PR guy.
Awesome to work with.
Yeah. the music captured me because of that, because of the verse chorus, because of it's not simplistic, but the simpler approach to it. You weren't thinking too hard about, well, I've got to break something. I've got to make a new wave. You're looking at sort of tried and true. Gosh, I'm being careful with my words here, but it's not like traditional tropes.
Pop format.
Yeah. You get it.
Yeah.
You get it. And I think that's what I like about it. But it has the tonality. It has the sounds of that heavier Texas, as an example, material where you're like, okay, wait a minute. So we're playing with the tropes here, but we're doing it in a fun and poppier kind of way, which of course completely throws you off when you're listening to it because you're not thinking about it from that perspective. And then you listen to it now through the lens of what you're telling me. And it's like, oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah. The idea was to make like catchy death metal.
Right.
You know,
it's totally true.
Yeah. That was kind of the concept. And we're not trying to flex. We're not trying to like shred all over it. You know, like there's some really fine musicianship on it, but it's pulled back a little, you know, and there's no one stepping on each other's toes. Like we give everyone space to kind of like do their thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's super cool. Well, you know, my show, as you said at the top of the hour, is called Sentimental Illness, which usually means I touch on the ideas behind mental illness or mental health. It doesn't mean we have to go down a deep, dark path here. We're not Red Riding Hood. See, can't think straight. I swear to God, I didn't smoke anything either. I swear to God, I did not do that.
I'm fried too, man. It's been a long week at work, and it's like 100 degrees in my room right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm in this booth, and it's about 100 in here too because it just seals all the body heat in. Yeah. But today is actually so today is the 12th of September as we're recording this, and today I'm going to read here is called Are You Okay Day. It's one of those. It's not a national holiday, but it is a day of the week. Once a year, it comes around. It's this idea. The idea behind it is to ensure people are getting the care and the connections they need to prevent mental health crisis, which I like. I like that it's a day.
Me too.
Another, hey, you, look at me. We're going to help you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm curious, what do you do to take care and keep your own mental health in line? What do you do? How do you manage it?
Not enough lately. And I feel this way every time I go through like an album cycle. When I'm trying to like manage 9 different things at the same time, like plus a full-time job and a marriage and you know, and I'm in other bands too.
Oh goodness. Okay.
So things have been very busy and hectic lately, and I'm kind of like running on fumes. But it's the end of it, you know. Like the album comes out tomorrow. Yeah. It'll probably be out by the time this airs.
Yes.
It comes out on the 13th, which is tomorrow. Yeah.
We're both.
Does that sum it up?
People are just hanging up, man. They're just
okay. So
that was awesome.
Generally, things I do to help manage it are I have 2 dogs.
Oh, okay, that'll help.
Those are oh my god, like having some dogs around, especially like during like the COVID weirdness and like the lockdowns, like. If I didn't have my dogs, I would have definitely been in like a weirder, darker place. So like having pets around has been crucial for me. Also, just like playing music with my friends is like so helpful. Like I mentioned, I'm in other bands.
Yeah.
Even though I'm busy, I'll have these like regularly scheduled band practices, and it's just a couple hours out of the week where we can just like focus on this thing that we love. Yeah. That's a huge like stress relief. Aside from that, the other things I do to like mitigate my stress are probably not helpful for my mental health. You know, I'm a beer lover, but you know, at a certain point, you know, that's not doing me any favors.
It's not necessarily, but it's also. I mean, I don't know. I've never been
short-term, like
yeah,
it's a short-term solution.
Yeah. I've never been a drug or alcohol guy, but I will admit that in about 6 years ago, I went through a mini crisis, and the reason I brought up this idea on the show and really have addressed it ever since is because I finally went through my own issue. It was, and it was significant. I mean, in some ways, I'm still dealing with the echoes of what I walked through because I gave it a lot of power, Ben. I really gave it that negativity, a lot of authority in my life, and sort of blamed my walk through those few years as not my fault. These weren't not my choices. This was, the influence of others or something dark and nefarious. It was never really my fault, and I gave it a lot of power and a lot of authority. And I remember, I look back at it and I think about the fact that in that time, I gained 25 pounds pretty much strictly because I was either indulging in marijuana gummies or drinking, just anything to satisfy the pain, to mute things, because I could not manage my life. I couldn't manage my emotions at all. I would just literally pull over on the side of the road and cry, Wow. So, but it seems to me that you've got a much better handle on it.
I hope so. I mean, at this point in my life, I've been through a lot of different things, different experiences, and I've kind of learned how to navigate my way through them. Yeah. As you mentioned earlier, you said you went through it, and that's what they say, right? There's no way around those hurdles. You have to just go through them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope that I manage things in a healthy way. Again, things have been crazy lately, and I'm, like I said, I'm kind of running on fumes, but things are starting to settle down again, and I can get back to my normal life and focus on my marriage a little bit more, and my job, my actual job.
But that's the craziness of musicians or artists, creatives, whatever you want to call us. I mean, that's what we all do. We're never satisfied. We're always looking to fill that God-sized hole. One more band, one more friend, one more idea, one more solution. And the reality is I have a really sad feeling that when we're laying on our deathbeds, we're going to be like, why did we work so much? Or why did we chase after the bunny rabbit that is actually an antelope that keeps stabbing us with its horns. You know what I mean? We're not getting anything out of running like madmen after a target that actually doesn't exist. We're not getting anything.
I literally wrote a song about that exact thing that's on the album.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I jokingly I was telling my bandmates, I'm like, this song is about how music has ruined all of our lives.
And it has.
and we laugh about it, but that's literally what the song is. Is that we keep chasing this, going after this fruitless endeavor.
But it's...
But it's all we know how to do.
Yeah, I interviewed a band from the UK called Sunfall a couple of years ago that I highly recommend to you. If you have not heard of them, they are fantastic. More of the progressive death metal side, but really, really good. And I don't remember where I was going with that either.
Sunfall.
Oh yeah. I think it was just this idea of monologue. So where I'm going with this is I think about what you're saying, and I think about what they're saying, and I think about what I'm saying right now, which is, are we actually seeking to express ourselves not through our outer monologue, but through our internal monologue? That we want to share the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves, and we think people will think it's a character, that it's not reality. Does that?
That's what artists do,
Yeah,
and
we hide it.
Yeah, but then we expose it through our art sometimes,
right?
And it's a little glimpse into the window of the soul.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's that old stereotype that tortured artists make the best art. And I wish it wasn't true, but
it is true.
It can be. It can be true.
Yeah. But I think that's why musicians chase after things, right? It's this idea. What's interesting to most about the pursuit of whatever you want to call this, success or happiness or being a somebody, is that we think it's because we've been denied something. We think it's a denial of an emotion. For example, like, don't get me wrong, I love my parents. I feel like I grew up in a great household. But let's say I didn't. Well, I could say, well, I'm writing this music because my parents denied me love or denied me respect or, didn't believe or encourage me. And, horns, train horns. Was that a train horn?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rad. I love that. That totally threw me off.
You're like, is there a train in this booth?
Yeah.
Do I need to turn down the game?
No, that's fine. So do you feel like you've been denied anything? Are you seeking, what are you seeking? Money, fame, life, a legacy? Do you want to be remembered as the guy who did X? What's your
I don't know. It's none of the above. It's not money, or I would be doing like a different type of music.
Yeah. There's no money in it. That's for sure.
The fame was never, that's like an attractive idea to a lot of people, especially now for some reason. Like kids want to be like content creators.
Yeah.
It's like, they think it's like a career path. Maybe it is. I don't know. It was never really like the fame or the glory. Cause again, I would not be playing death metal. I would have picked something that could actually make me famous. Legacy, maybe, I want to be able to like leave something behind, we're here for like a brief period of time.
Yeah. And
music lasts a lot longer than like a human lifespan. So yeah, maybe legacy, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Just leaving something good behind for maybe someone else. But at the end of the day, I just have this drive to like create and produce good music, like the type of music that I myself would want to listen to. Do it with my friends, because that's like a cathartic release. It's how I manage my mental health. So It's like a positive, healthy activity. And just make music that we can be proud of and that we're all happy with. And if like a couple people outside of our group enjoy it as well, then that's like a huge bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I kind of do it for ourselves, I guess.
That's really
But now or maybe that's how it started 8 years ago. And now we're on our third album and we're like, doing PR cycles and like,
right. You're weathered.
Going for it.
Do you, I mean, from what I'm getting from you, it seems like you have moderately high, if not high self-esteem. You probably feel pretty good about who you are as a person and the direction you're going and the type of material you create, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I have a crazy idea.
Uh-huh.
And the crazy idea is guys like you and I who have some modicum of high self-esteem, we never make it. It's always the guy who hates everything and hates himself and just hates everybody because he has a chip on his shoulder and he has something to prove. Have you noticed that? It's always true.
Yeah. I don't want to like agree with that one, but I have to. Yeah, it is true.
Nice guys finish last, man.
Yeah. There's a reason people say that.
Oh my God. Okay, so I wrote this down, and I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up, so I'm going to read it to you. But I wrote, the words we speak turn hidden thoughts into tangible existence. They can change a person's day, even their life, for good or bad. We place high value on each other's words because we trust they are spoken from a place of good intention, and often they aren't. What words have you spoken that you regret?
Hate. That's a weird word.
Yeah, it is.
And it's never used in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to think of anything like off the top of my head, at least like recently, I don't think I've said anything to anyone lately that I just like immediately regret.
Yeah. No, I get it. I was getting you to pull your pants down a bit.
Yeah. I mean, so sometimes they get like some word soup going on and like things will slip out and like, was that insensitive to say? But I think that's part of the landscape we live in now. People are a lot more worried about offending other people.
Yeah.
There's like pros and cons to that, right? But it's made me more self-aware of like, did I just like let something slip out that might have offended someone.
Yeah.
That's what we all experience that, right? I can't be the only one.
No, I don't think so. But I think then there's guys like me who the older I get, man, so I'm going to be 58 like in 2 weeks. And
you look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My biggest failure is my inability. It is absolutely 100%, Ben. It is my inability to not tell exactly what I'm thinking all the time. I do not know how to shut my mouth when I'm in a crisis situation. I don't know how to shut my mouth when I'm in an argument. I don't know how to bite my tongue. I am proof that the what they say in the Bible, the loose tongue destroys lives. I am that guy. I just can't shut up. And that has benefited me in some ways because I'm so straightforward that there's a group of people who absolutely subscribe to what I stand for and believe in, which is just absolute utter destruction of self, right? Just a bomb of thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it clears the room. I want to say exactly what I'm thinking because I feel like it needs to be heard, but I don't know how to. I think I'm a sociopath. I don't know how to be kind when kindness is called for. My heart is breaking inside and my mouth is going, uh-oh, here we go. I feel like I'm possessed.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It is refreshing though when people can just like speak their mind and not be like thinking about filtering or like censoring their thoughts.
Yeah,
that is refreshing. My wife's gonna kill me, but the first thing I came to mind was like, oh, I've been married for a little while now, so like I definitely know how to bite my tongue.
I've been married 27 years and I have no idea how to do it, and I make my wife mad almost every day.
Must be exhausting.
It is for her, definitely. It's the worst thing in the world. I'm a handful, and I know it. Oh my God. Okay. So you're here to promote the new Nightwraith album, Divergence. Comes out tomorrow, September 13th.
Yes.
Worldwide, baby.
Yeah.
And you got 5 shows that are booked to support the album release. So where are you playing those shows?
For now, yeah, we're doing a couple shows like next weekend. We're playing Aces High in Salt Lake City on Friday, September 20th.
Okay.
We're playing Kopeka in Grand Junction, Colorado on Saturday, September 21st.
Okay.
Then our Denver release show. That's our big friends and family like party. We're doing that at the High Dive on September 27th.
That's a great club, man.
Oh, the High Dive is the best. It's been around Denver forever. It's legendary. It's like the perfect size, great sound, awesome bar, awesome staff. Like, love it. Our old bass player used to be the manager there.
Oh, nice.
So like it's always been kind of like home for Nightwraith.
Yeah.
It's been like a home base. But so we're doing our release there on September 27th. Then we're going to Santa Fe, New Mexico right after that.
Yeah.
With this band called Necropanther that's from here. That's like super
totally know about
them.
Yes.
Cool.
I've heard one of their tunes. I couldn't name it, I'm not gonna lie, but I totally know about them.
Good.
And
it's cool.
Yeah, people have been saying they're great. They're great live.
Yeah, so it's like awesome Blackened thrash stuff, like Skeleton Witch kind of. Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
So we're doing New Mexico with them, and I guess the venue sounds really cool. It's like this outdoor like club where they have like bonfires.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of all I know about. I'm like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna cap it off in Colorado Springs on September 29th at What's Left Records. They're the label that's putting out the album. But they also own their own brick and mortar record store.
Wow.
And they're doing shows inside the record store now. Super cool.
Wow. Okay. So I don't want to just jump off, but I do want to actually ask a question about that.
Yeah.
How, because I think bands that are listening, especially bands that are drawn to this particular episode because of who's being featured, right? The type of music that's being talked about, they're going to want to know, how do you get that kind of material on a label, or to get management, or to get somebody interested? Is it all, and I'm being very kind here, but is it all pay to play, or is it, like, how do you earn the right to be, I don't know, supported?
It's a lot of hard work and dedication in your music scene.
Yeah, 8 years
to build up your personal reputation. If no one knew who I was, if no one knew Benjamin Pitts, the guy that's been in a bunch of bands, that's been like touring and supporting the Denver scene for 20 years.
Right.
If I was just some random person, it could be the best band in the world. But I don't know. Without that reputation that's earned and built up over a long period of time, it's really hard to get anyone to pay attention. Yeah. Some of it is pay to play. It sucks because like labels and booking agents will generally only look at your Spotify numbers as a metric. Yeah, you know, when we were shopping this to other labels, they all kind of said the same thing. They're like, "Man, the material sounds awesome. These songs are great. The production is killer. Your Spotify numbers suck. We can't do anything with this. Like, best of luck."
You know what? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, What's Left Records. They're good friends. I've known them for a long time. They've been really doing great things in the heavy music scene in Colorado Springs. So it was only natural to want to work with them. We called it like family style, you know, because keeping it like in-house.
Yeah.
Making it easy.
Yeah. I like the mom and pop brick and mortar idea. You know, I like the fact that vinyl has made a monstrous comeback. I mean, it's better than ever, and everybody's got
awesome.
I mean, everybody's got a record out now. They're all really heavy. You know, it's thick vinyl. It's none of this cheap crap Columbia Tape House and Record Club.
180 grams, like different color configurations, different variants. It's cool.
Yeah, so you really feel like you're buying, you know, a unique product because you are. I mean, they're all single pressed, you know, and it's just wonderful. So this record, this Divergence, is coming out on vinyl as well?
Yeah. It is CD and vinyl.
Okay. Cassette?
Yeah. No, we did cassettes last time, and I just didn't have the energy.
No, I get it. I know. That's such a weird collector thing, you know?
I know. I love cassettes. I really wanted to do it because, like, the vibe of Divergence is very, like, 80s, you know?
Yeah.
Tons of, like, 80s riffs and, like, 80s, like, synths, like, all over the place, you know? We're talking about movies earlier, like, you know, it's a very, like, sci-fi horror, like, 80s movie film score kind of vibe. So a cassette would have, like, fit that aesthetic perfectly, but I just didn't have it in me this time around.
Yeah. No, I get that. Okay, so last question, and it's a dumb one. It's a dumb one, man. It's a dumb one.
I love it.
Fight Club. Who are you fighting and why? You get to pick one person and you got to fight. You don't get to walk away.
Oh, man. I don't know.
It could be Trump. It could be anybody, man.
You've been talking to me saying I'm the nicest guy ever, and now you're asking me to fight someone.
That's why I throw you under the bus at the end for fun.
Oh, geez. I don't know if I can pick, like, a single person. Maybe, like, an idea, like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Nazi punks.
Oh, there you go. No, that works.
Let's fight all the Nazi punks.
Yeah.
All the metalheads versus all the Nazi punks.
Yeah.
We'll win, of course.
Yeah.
Or I'll fight one Nazi punk on my own.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for it either. I've actually I've asked that a couple different times to different artists, and I don't think I've ever actually given an answer myself. I think right now, just because I'm annoyed in general by politics, it would be really easy to throw somebody like Trump or Harris out just because they're both like Nazis.
So that's an easy answer. Yeah. Does anyone ever come straight away and know exactly who they want to fight? Like, this person,
you know, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, somebody threw out, and it was somebody in their family, like my brother, like, you know, because he's such a bitch. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You name the time and place.
Yeah, I would, you know, now that I think about it, I'll tell a quick story and I'll let you go. In 1986, I got beat up. This is true. I got beat up driving my car through a Wendy's drive-thru.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a road rage thing. These guys cut me off on the road. I honked my horn and flipped them off. They turned around, drove through the drive-thru, jumped out, opened my car door, broke my key off in the ignition, and proceeded to pummel me.
Whoa.
For like 10 minutes. And nobody helped. They did call the police, but they showed up like half an hour later.
Of course.
I mean, that was literally like I could have died, right? And what stopped their attack was I got to a point where I was so scared. I just reached back into Texas, as my friend John says, and I hit this guy who was on top of me just as hard as I could, right in the face. And blood everywhere. I broke his nose and blood went everywhere. And I will tell you that if I could, my retribution would be I get to fight that guy one more time because I would like bite his nose. I would kick him in the balls. I would, it's weird how we reserve ourselves when we're in a fight. Like we've still got to be gracious and kind. We're not thinking about a to the death moment. If you're forced to the death, somebody's going to cut your fingers off with garden shears. You better beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah. God, that's so funny. Here, really quick, I'll tell you this ridiculous story I have. I used to work in a music venue for a long time, for like 10 years.
Right on.
The drummer in Nightwraith worked there also doing sound.
Okay.
But one time the band Trapped played there. Do you remember
them?
It's
T-R-A-P-T.
Yes. So Trapped was playing. So of course that brought out just a gem of a crowd, the crowd.
Right. The bros.
Is exactly what you have expected. We would joke, we would be like, oh man, there's like a Chili's missing their happy hour crowd somewhere. But anyway, so this dude got too drunk at the show,
of course,
got kicked out, and then like spit on the lady who was like working the box office. And I mean, like we had to take care of that.
You did you?
I mean, not me personally, but I was there. It was taken care of.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
good.
A fighter, of course.
No, I know you're clearly a lover. I mean,
it was just funny because it was like at the Trapped show. It was like a dude that got kicked out of a Trapped concert. Of course.
Yeah. I've met many of those guys, and they all belong at a Trapped concert. They're the guys that like fight outside the club, outside the venue on the concrete, and like the one guy who's on top hits the guy on the bottom so hard you hear it in the concrete. You know what I mean? It's just good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben, you're a rad dude, man.
Yeah, you too, Rob. This has been a real pleasure. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks. Yeah. The most non-music interview we've ever had, right?
Yeah. There was maybe 90 seconds of actual music talk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people, they want to get to know you. I mean, if they're drawn to liking you, there's a real good chance they're going to listen to your songs. I like that. That's my take, brother, and I'm going to go for it, man. That's my thing. So, look, I wish the very best for you. I hope you'll stay in touch.
Yeah, you too, for sure.
Again, by the time this comes out, the new record Divergence will be out, but I will get this out as soon as possible. So for anybody watching this live, please go check out the band if you're near anywhere of the locations that they're playing. This is a really cool act, really great guy. Clearly you've met today. And Ben, I appreciate you, man. You're the real dealio, brother.
Appreciate you too, Rob. This has been awesome. And we will be booking a West Coast tour for spring of 2025. And we're selling LPs and CDs on our Bandcamp page. So
Right on.
Check it out.
I will be there. Can't wait to shake your hand in person. And until then, grazie, my friend.
Grazie, my friend. Appreciate you, Rob.
You've been listening to Sentimental Illness with Rob Leland. Our theme song, Machine, has been graciously provided by Harris Heller. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast media. You can directly support the show on Patreon as well, where you can find us at patreon.com/This is Sentimental Illness. It also helps us a lot if you rate the show online, so jump out there and give us 5 stars. And lastly, always remember, your mind will overthink everything, but your heart can never love enough. See you soon.